How would you feel if you could no longer watch your favorite show because your internet service provider, or ISP, didn't offer Netflix anymore? What if your ISP, such as AT&T, only offered access to a different media platform, like Hulu, where your show might not even be provided? This is just a small taste of the concept of net neutrality, a concept which most argue has no concrete definition, but as the Gale Encyclopedia of Everyday Law describes it, it is the principle that users should have unrestricted access to content and services on the World Wide Web. The idea is that internet service providers such as AT&T, Comcast, and CenturyLink should treat all data on the internet equally and not be able to restrict the information that the internet can provide to you. If you want to access a certain form of content or use a certain platform like Netflix, these ISPs have no right to slow down access to it. All information should be provided at equal speeds. It sounds great, right? Why wouldn't someone want net neutrality? Why would these large corporations even consider going against this gradient? Well, the only reason an ISP would slow down or block access to one form of content is so that it can speed up access to another, and make some money in the process. Going back to the Netflix versus Hulu Plus example, if users' access to Netflix was slowed down and the ISP was in favor of Hulu Plus or had a deal with it, chances are the quality of service from Hulu Plus would be faster and better. If you preferred Hulu Plus, wouldn't you be more inclined to choose an ISP that provides it at a faster rate? Clearly, there are two distinct sides to this argument. One that advocates for a net neutral system with more governmental regulation of the internet, and one that advocates for a discriminatory system in which ISPs have more control of the internet. While both are very opinionated in what they think is the correct direction to steer the internet toward, the truth is that no one knows exactly what will happen. Net neutrality is a very current, heated topic of debate, and I think it's important to view both sides, which rely heavily on predictions and on past issues that have been resolved in similar ways. Let's start with the reasons for net neutrality. The first idea is that people don't want the big corporations to have too much control over the information they receive. They want to access information freely and choose the content they want, not have corporations make that decision. One common example of corporations making the decision for consumers is in part radio. Tim Wu, a lawyer and professor at Columbia Law School, describes how recording industries find ways to get radio stations to play their songs. The top recording industries have more resources to get their songs broadcasted on more radio stations, resulting in many of the stations playing similar songs and sounding the same. The same is possible in the internet if the top content providers are able to pay more to big ISPs, in the sense that they will all be providing the same content, thus making them similar. For example, without net neutrality and with increased focus on corporate power, big content providers like YouTube and Netflix could find ways to pay all major ISPs to give priority access to their services, which the corporations would likely accept, and which would result in everyone only being provided access to the content on those two services, regardless of their ISP. Another reason for net neutrality is to create an equal playing field for inventors. I think it's safe to assume that, if given the opportunity, anyone would love to create the next Google or YouTube of the internet, but some believe that might be difficult if not for net neutrality. Many investors have expressed fear of an internet without it, as startup content providers would have to pay a lot of money to compete with those already out there, and ISPs could discriminate against them. For example, internet voice services like Discord and Skype have a chance to compete against traditional phone services under net neutrality, whereas they might not without it. This is the same case for services like Netflix and Amazon Video. If not for net neutrality, an ISP such as AT&T could give priority access and faster service to its own content provider, DirecTV, and give slower access to those other similar content providers. One last argument in favor of net neutrality is that ISPs do not have the same coverage in every area of the United States. For example, AT&T and Comcast Xfinity provide stronger coverage in different states of the US, as can be seen from these maps. The argument here is that people have to go with the ISP that provides the best coverage in their area. If we have an internet system without net neutrality, people will be stuck with whatever service the ISP with the best coverage provides, even if it's not their preferred services. With net neutrality, people will still be able to go with the ISP that provides the best coverage in their area, while still being able to access their preferred services. Hopefully, you can now see why so many people are advocates of net neutrality, specifically content providers. However, it is important to note that there are also several quality reasons why people oppose the idea. Mainly, the side consists of corporations who do not want the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, regulating the Internet. One of these reasons is that it could hurt investment and innovation. Sound familiar? Studies have found that ISPs will invest more into increased network capacity and into better infrastructure for providing their services when they can generate additional revenue from charging priority fees to content providers in exchange for giving those content providers priority access on the Internet. Better infrastructure and increased network capacity would benefit consumers and corporations alike, as this means that their quality of service will likely be better overall, and people will want to use these ISPs. Moreover, many ISPs claim that they are unable to make this investment in these improvements under net neutrality. In addition to investment, net neutrality can also stifle competition among ISPs in the sense that it makes an even market where they all have to provide equal access to all services on the Internet. With the incentive to increase revenue from priority fees, ISPs will compete among each other to develop the best systems possible so that they can gain the most consumers possible. One historical example that this idea is based on is the creation of the automatic telephone exchange. Almond Brown Stroger developed this system due to his skepticism that a corrupt telephone operator was redirecting his business calls to a competitor. Therefore, he took the matter into his own hands and developed a more convenient system of telephone exchange that alleviates the need for a human operator. This automatic version would later be fully integrated into society. The idea behind this story is that innovation results from competition, which would be slowed down under net neutrality. However, in free markets, corporations have the ability to get themselves ahead and have financial incentives to do so. Furthermore, their own business is at stake if they are unable to compete with other ISPs. Therefore, many people feel that a discriminatory system would encourage an environment that increases the speed and depth of innovation. A final argument that I will introduce regarding a pro-discriminatory system is that not every Internet user believes that all content on the Internet should be treated equally. For example, assuming that an email being sent instantly is of the same importance as a video call on Skype. A video call requires high-speed, quality Internet access, whereas an email doesn't, so many argue that a video call should be given priority through fast lanes on the Internet. Pro-discriminatory system advocates extend this idea to transmitting important health data or stock information in that they should also receive fast lanes on the Internet, as opposed to other content such as emails or news articles. Some content providers' services are congestion sensitive, and those CPs will only offer their services if it would be sustainable under the given congestion level. In a net neutral system, all services are offered at the same speed, which will create a given amount of congestion, and cause some content providers to even opt out of providing their services. Whether or not our Internet service providers should be net neutral is an issue that will affect how Internet users consume and produce information. To have some higher quality services with ISP decision-making, or to have data equality with governmental regulation? That is the question. The net neutrality debate is still a very current topic, and both sides of the argument can, for the most part, only rely on predictions and past conflicts to make their case. As consumers, we can attempt to pick a side, but ultimately, only time will tell which is the better way.